And at the forefront of this group, the boldest of the bold, stands one unlikely hero.
Tell us who you are and how long have you been climbing?
I'm Alex Honnold. I've been climbing maybe 12 years.
When I first met Alex Honnold, he was just a goofy kid living in his van.
Do you have girls in here a lot?
Do I look like I have girls in here a lot?
He was obsessed with climbing, like 1,000 other dudes.
But he liked to do it without a rope.
Yeah, I think soloing is like more badass than climbing with the rope, for sure. I mean, just because the consequences are so much higher. It requires that you don't fall, because then you die. I don't know, it's just cool.
After conquering Moonlight Buttress, Alex sets his sights on Half Dome, Yosemite's iconic 2,000-foot wall.
It's just this enormous, perfect wall, amazingly beautiful. Half Dome was a huge step for me because it was just twice as big as anything I'd ever soloed.
Pretty much the most mind-blowing thing that's happened in climbing.
Certain death if you make any mistake.
You never climb better than when you're soloing walls, which is part of the fun of it. You execute the entire wall perfectly.
On Half Dome, Alex successfully climbed a route that no one had imagined could be soloed and gained the world's attention for his death-defying climbs.
And the climbing world was like, whoa,
What?
who's this guy?
Man, it took some freaking balls.
It's the story of Alex Honnold. He's a 26-year-old rock climber from Sacramento, California.
We first heard about him in a movie called Alone on the Wall, a harrowing account of one of his most extraordinary feats.
Dude, really? The 60 Minutes thing was crazy.
We watched him on a video monitor from half a mile away.
Ever since, a lot of things have definitely changed.
It was crazy. He was everywhere.
My boyfriend and I were going on vacation, so I used my city thank you card.
He was becoming a real celebrity. It was nuts.
Hi, my name is Alex Honnold.
Alex Honnold.
Alex Honnold.
What's my name?
Alex Honnold.
Have you heard of him, Alex Honnold?
Hey, Alex.
Yes?
How's the view up there?
How's the film shit going? Dude, it's amazing. This is my life. Thanks for coming and checking it out with me.
But what happens when a personal passion becomes a public spectacle?
I think it gets to him.
You have to keep on doing the next great thing.
Always upping the edge.
What are you going to do next?
If you're risking your life,
You'd better be doing it for the right reasons.
Everybody and their dog wants to know what's Alex going to do next.
As pressure mounts, Alex sets his sights on the biggest challenge yet.
So the big objective is to solo the triple, which is the 3 biggest faces in Yosemite. A total of 7,000 feet of climbing in under 24 hours, starting with Mount Watkins, which is 2,000 feet, and then El Cap, which is 3,000 feet, and then finishing with Half Dome, which is another 2,000 feet of climbing.
a competent party would take a week and a half to do all those routes.
And I'm hoping to climb all 3 by myself in a day. This is something I can do, and I want to do it, and I will do it.
Yosemite National Park is home to some of the world's most legendary rock formations. Until now, climbers have never dared to go free solo on these huge walls, which require most climbers days to climb. And always with ropes as a lifeline, thousands of feet off the ground.
Climbing Yosemite has always been competitive. It's been about one-upping each other, you know, like doing something faster or climbing something harder. Alex is one of the most ambitious climbers I've ever seen.
He's read the history books, he knows the players.
And he definitely wants to contribute and be part of this lineage, this history of climbing.
He is writing a chapter in history right now.
No one's even tried to solo the triple before.
In Yosemite, there's this tradition of the in a day. It's like, how much ground can you climb in 24 hours?
Historically, I suppose it starts with John Long and Billy Westbay and Jim Bridwell climbing the nose in a day. And then the next generation, Dean Potter and Hans Florian have both climbed the nose and Half Dome in a day. And they both did it in like 23 hours. I mean, it's a pretty big day to climb both mountains. And now, sort of the next generation, I'm trying to climb 3 in a day. Each year for me in the valley, I push myself a little bit further, and, you know, it's only now that I'm actually able to do something like the triple. I knew I needed a speed climber to to join me to practice for something like the triple. So I sought out Hans Florian to climb the nose with me super fast.
For the last 19 years, I've held, broken, reset the record. Fastest time up the most incredible rock face in the world. It is the most badass competition there is.
Hans Florian is sort of a Yosemite icon. I mean, he's been speed climbing for 20 years. He has the speed records on most of the major formations in the valley. At least he used to. I took them all. But, you know. But, no, Hans Florian is a good friend of mine, too. He's a good climber that's climbed Yosemite for a long time, and he loves speed climbing. So he's kind of ideal to partner with on something like this.
Then Alex Honnold comes up and like, cha-ching! You know, this is it. Alex has a super long resume, skill set of rock climbing. Perfect partner for the nose.
Line's fixed.
Alex and Hans will break the existing world record if they climb the nose in under 2 hours, 36 minutes, and 45 seconds.
Alex, you're good to go!
Go! I can't go.
They smashed the nose record by over 13 minutes, which is, by the way, mind-blowing. And Alex just shrugs it off. It's so annoying. The bigger and more dangerous it is, it seems like, the more excited for it he gets. In his mind, it's not that big a deal. It's just like, to him, it's, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's dangerous, but only if I let go, I guess.
And he's betting his life every single climb.
Because everybody, even the most rock solid, eventually it does catch up with you.
I should be fully conscious of both ends of the spectrum. I'm going to do something that's going to be sick and it's going to be so cool, or like I'm going to fail trying and it's going to be the most hideous 4 seconds of my life while I just free fall to the ground.
Alex is 4 months away from attempting to solo climb the 3 biggest rock faces in Yosemite in a single day. But first, to establish his upper body strength, Alex travels to Bishop, California to train on its legendary boulders.
This is how I party. Yeah, I still live in the van a lot of the time. Right now I'm in an apartment in Bishop for a little bit. It is a very unstyling apartment, but I mean, it has hot water, it's a kitchen, like, it's good enough. And I don't really notice that kind of stuff that much anyway. I'm living with my girlfriend and then 2 other people. Yeah, I have a girlfriend now.
This is our bedroom for the winter in Bishop. This is our heat. This is our bed. We took this out of the van.
Alex Honnold with a girlfriend living in an apartment. It's funny. It was just like a fish out of water.
I moved to Bishop for the winter because it's an ideal place to base for winter training, basically. The bouldering is super good, the conditions are really good, the weather's good, and there's good rest activities like big mountains to hike in and ski in and basically to like maintain fitness. I'm constantly trying to get better at climbing, and like my biggest weakness in climbing is just power, just being able to pull in really small holds and do really hard moves. Bishop has some of the best bouldering in the world, so it's like an ideal place to base in the winter to train power. I mean, like really strong climbers and strong boulders and stuff come through Bishop and just do everything and just climb problems that I don't even understand. Basically, I want to make sure that I'm really fit when I get to Yosemite. While I've been bouldering here, I've just met random kids from like Southern California that just climb these V12s and stuff, like no issue, you know? I'm like, who the heck is that? And how do you just do that so easily? And how come I can't even pull off the ground? Like, that's what's so annoying about bouldering is that you can't even get your butt off the ground. And you're like, how did some little kid just do that? Well, that's what it just makes me feel bad about myself, kind of, because, you know, every day I have like 100 new fans on Facebook telling me that I'm like, you know, the man, that I'm like the most rad thing ever. And I spend the whole day out here and I can't even like do any of these bouldering problems that like everybody can do. Or it just makes me sad.
He professes not to be a boulderer, actually. He says that he's no good at bouldering, but he's pretty good at a certain kind of bouldering.
The only way that I can be even close to a good boulder is if I boulder things that are like really, really scary for most people.
When it comes right down to it, he has this gift.
He doesn't get scared.
That's definitely what sets him apart.
He's really motivated by the big lines, by the lines that require a lot of mental control.
The bigger it is, the more excited he gets.
It just calls him. He can't resist.
For sure, the taller the boulder problem, the more appealing. Actually, that's pretty much true. The bigger the problem, like the more psyched I am.
One thing he took a liking for was this amazing face.
So there's this project on the luminance boulder.
This boulder's monsters.
Actually goes straight up the middle of the biggest, baddest wall.
It's on a boulder, but it's really stretching the limit of what you might call bouldering.
It seems really tall and pretty scary, but I rapped down it the other day and tried all the moves on it. It has really, really small feet and really technical, like precise movements on tiny holes.
This route, which Alex named Too Big to Flail, is the highest, hardest bouldering problem ever established in Bishop.
Ah, my fingers, it's so thin. And when I was rapping down it and just thinking about doing it, I kept feeling like I was gonna poop myself because I was like, this is terrifying. Like, this is so tall, this is so thin, and so sketchy. I want nothing to do with this. This is like terrifying.
Plezanje.
In just a few short months, climber Alex Honnold will attempt to solo climb the 3 biggest rock faces in Yosemite in a single day without any ropes. But today, he's struggling on the Luminance boulder in Bishop, California, building up strength for the even bigger climb to come.
When I first rapped down, I was like, oh my God, like, no way. It goes. Okay, take these. But then once I figured it out, I was like, oh, this is amazing.
My conclusion is that it definitely goes. It's pretty hard, and that I need a lot of pads. Like a lot, and a couple big men to catch me.
Let's see, the phone call said something about I need every pad in Bishop. 25 people came out to support and also to spectate. People were psyched. We're seeing some of the last big lines get done. It's like making history.
When everyone was gathered around the base and we're piling up the pads and we're looking at it and Alex is playing around and jumping off, it's just this great, like, fun vibe.
Getting my boxer all warmed up.
You know, Alex's reputation preceded him, so everyone's totally confident. But when he stepped off the ground, it was quiet.
Okay, here we go. You going for it? Yeah.
It was really, really quiet. It was almost eerily quiet.
I wouldn't say that I'm trying to prove anything in particular by climbing Too Big to Flail. I just want to do it. I just think it can be done, and I think somebody ought to do it. To some extent, I feel a little bit of pressure just because I'm well known as a climber. I sort of expect myself to climb really well, just because I think other people expect that.
looking really good. Yeah, buddy. Tranquilo. Solid, bud. Right on, Alex. Good.
Yeah.
Nice job, yeah.
Yeah.
Alex. Oh, God, I think I might have been more nervous than him.
Nice job, dude.
Thanks for the full support. I'm touched. That's very exciting.
That's pretty cool.
Ooh. Jeez. Feels like it's cocktail hour.
Getting psyched up for the free solo challenge of his lifetime, Alex heads to the place where his climbing adventures began.
We're at my mom's house, my childhood home. Hello, Mother. Brought you Sunday. Oh, really?
My name is Deirdre Molnick, and I'm Alex Honnold's mom. We couldn't have him in a crib. We couldn't have him in a playpen, because he'd be out of those things before anybody could hop up and yell, "Watch out!" Yes, I worried about him, but I soon learned that he is very, what's the word, controlled. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows what he can do, what he's capable of.
My mom and the rest of my family has always been pretty supportive of all the climbing I do.
My grandma always says you should stay away from snow because it's slippery and dangerous.
Yeah.
That's why I climb rocks.
You can't worry all the time. You know, you get to a point where you just have to let that go, and I had to let that go years ago.
I knew I was ready for the triple because I was in shape and motivated and ready for it. You know, I was just psyched for it.
Hello. How you guys doing today? Good. Would you like a map in the newspaper?
No, thank you.
Want me to give you a good smile for that camera? Yeah.
Thanks.
Yosemite is kind of like my center, the place where I can always come back to and always have bigger projects and always have bigger things to do. I came to Yosemite when the weather got good. You know, late May, when the snow's melted, the roots are dry, they're long days, it's beautiful weather.
Yosemite is Alex's stomping ground. He drives into the valley and he owns it.
It must be amazing to be Alex Honnold going into Yosemite and just looking up at all of these walls and knowing you could do anything in any style in an afternoon.
I feel confident in Yosemite. If I feel like climbing El Cap today, I can climb El Cap. If I feel like climbing something else, I can climb that. You know, I can just go around and do whatever I want. It's like awesome. It's pretty fun. I just like being able to play around like that.
Before Alex can attempt to climb the 3 biggest faces in Yosemite, he must first get acclimated to the slippery springtime conditions of the park's granite walls.
So it just dumped rain in the valley, so I sort of expect that the roots are all going to be sort of wet for at least the first half of, at least the beginning of the triple. They may dry out since it's going to take me a full 24 hours, like things might get better as I go. But I'm sort of expecting, you know, the climbing to be somewhat wet I mean, wet rock is definitely a problem for soloing because it's just so slippery and it's unpredictable, and it just feels insecure. I would say that the most important mental state for attempting something like this is just being psyched, like being motivated, being like truly driven to do something, you know, believing that I can and wanting to do it. Internally, I feel tons of pressure to keep pushing along this path that I've kind of chosen, because I feel like I can do better things and I want to do better things, and, you know, and I'm curious what I can do.
What really sets Alex apart from everybody else is the soloing.
That ability to stay cool, where every other climber I know would be horrified.
I'm sure if I fell, there'd be all kinds of different, you know, some people would be like, oh, he died doing what he loved, and some people would be like, what a douchebag, like, you know, he got what was coming.
Alex Honnold has been called the greatest free solo climber in the world. In just days, he'll attempt to climb the 3 biggest rock faces in Yosemite in under 24 hours.
Nobody has ever done this before. Nobody's ever tried this before.
For Alex to succeed and survive, his plan must be flawless.
So what I'm going to do is hike out to Watkins, start the timer at the base of Watkins, because all I'm interested in timing is how long it takes to climb the 3 routes. So I start the timer when I start climbing. So I climb Watkins, I hike back to the road, I drive the hour to El Cap. I'll get to El Cap, I'll climb El Cap, I'll hike down. All that will be in the dark probably. Somebody will give me a ride over to the stables, which is where I'll hike up to Half Dome. And then I'll climb Half Dome, and then when I get to the top, I stop the timer, and hopefully that'll be less than a day. I'm trying to do this whole link up in the shade, just because the sun just saps your energy, and especially right now in Yosemite, it's super hot. Though right now it's about to storm, and then it's supposed to drop 20 degrees, so I might just freeze my balls off in the shade. 2 years ago, I sold the double. I climbed El Cap and Half Dome, and I did them both in like less than 12 hours. So obviously I had enough time in the day that I should be able to add another mountain and be okay. I mean, it's a big day, you know, and it's just cool to be able to climb the 3 biggest, proudest faces in Yosemite by yourself. Basically, it's a game that climbers play in Yosemite to try to do bigger and bigger things in a day. And it's just always been arbitrarily capped at 24 hours, and that's just the way we play the game, you know? But it's a pretty fun game. Like, it's pretty, you know, I don't know, I love this kind of stuff.
When Alex has that goofy grin and he kind of bounces around giddy, that's when it's really coming from his heart, and it's something he really wants to do.
You just get to cover so much good climbing. It's like, it's outrageous.
That's when you know that, that it's going to be badass.
So I'm going to start climbing Watkins as soon as it goes into the shade, which is about 4 p.m. I go up with just my harness, 2 daisy chains, 6 or 7 cams, maybe like a sling, and like that's it. No rope. My 24 hours starts now.
If Alex succeeds in climbing all 7,000 feet in under 24 hours, it will be considered the most monumental feat of soloing in the history of Yosemite. The only way for Alex to beat the clock is to free solo the vast majority of the routes.
Ideally, I would just free solo all 3 walls, except that they're too hard. So when I get to the hard parts, you know, I pull on gear if I need to, or I step on bolts, or, you know, do whatever it takes to, like, get up it.
This isn't free climbing. It's not aid climbing. It's by any means climbing.
The first 1,000 feet of Watkins is mostly fairly easy crack climbing, 5'10" lie backing, so I can just kind of cruise up that. But then about halfway up, it starts getting a little thinner, a little more technical, and then it all starts going downhill. I climb up into this thin little arch, and that's when I start going into the full improvised style. Just make myself a little spider's web worth of like small gear and clipping it all together. And since I don't have a rope on me, I just have to place gear and clip my daisies into it. And then I clip some fixed pin and gear, and I'm all weighting it kind of gingerly, because the gear doesn't look great, but, you know, it's better than nothing, obviously.
That's the most convoluted shit I've ever done. That was ridiculous.
And then eventually you get into bolts. And then the bolts, you know, I mean, you feel safe and you're happy again, except that the bolts are too far apart just to clip one to the other. So I had to like reset so I could reach my daisy, unclip it. And then I'm like, okay, all of a sudden I'm free soloing again.
And you're free soloing looking at how big a fall?
Like 1,200 feet off the ground or something. feel like I should have a disclaimer on this because, like, basically you should not do this. Even though I love it and I think it's so fun.
Oh, that's scary.
I think one of the hardest things for me in this whole daisy soloing is the transitioning between free climbing to aid climbing to pulling on gear to clipping into bolts. Because it always is such a relief to clip into a bolt when you're doing some hard technical stuff. And you're like, oh, so nice. And then you pull on the bolt and you like grab the next hold and then you stand up a little bit. And then you have to unclip from that bolt and you're like, oh, bummer, you know, because all of a sudden you're back to free soloing again. And so it's that constant transitioning back and forth, you know, from now I'm safe, now I'm not safe, now I'm safe, now I'm not safe. You know, like, that's like kind of mentally hard on you.
Climber Alex Honnold is clinging to the side of Mount Watkins, risking his life to become the first person to solo climb all 3 of Yosemite Park's biggest rock faces in under 24 hours. He has no safety rope.
That actually went infinitely more smoothly than the other day, which is nice. Still kind of scary, though.
You know how people say to not look down when you're at the scary part? It's like, in this, you look down, and you're like, that's why I'm here. Like, I want to look down, and I want to be in this amazing position. Like, otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it.
But I'm gonna eat this bar and drink a little bit, and then blast.
To continue with the day's ascents, Alex will need to replace the nearly 2,000 calories he'll burn climbing Mount Watkins.
Yeah, rock climbing.
He'll also need to ignore the onslaught of insects that plagues Yosemite in the spring.
God, did you see all the bugs? I don't know, like, I just had silverfish, like, just cascading down me the whole time.
So every season in Yosemite, silverfish, which are like these ancient evil little bugs, they all hatch on the walls. There's just like a constant cascade of bugs coming down the wall.
It's starting to freak out a little.
Started to lose in one of the cruxes. That section was maybe like 5'11" or something. I was just covered in bugs. I had them like in my ears and my face.
I'm like covered in bugs.
And I just wanted to get out of the bugs. Just having like little things go wrong, like that's all just part of the game. Those kinds of things shake you for a second, and then you keep climbing.
No one ever be like you. I don't know what that means. But no one ever seen the truth. No one like me. I want to have you here, but now I'm lost and out to sea.
The last 3 pitches of Watkins are pretty much just swimming up just glorious hand cracks. I felt really good, the climbing's really secure, and I just like romped to the top. Well, I'm never trying to move as fast as possible. I'm trying to move efficiently and consistently. I'll probably climb it pretty quick, but it'll be by virtue of the fact that I never stop.
Yeah. That's time. 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's a speed record on Watkins. Oh, what?
Alex has completed the first third of his incredible climbing goal.
Next up is the nose. So I'm about to hike an hour up to the road, and then drive an hour down Del Cap Meadow, and then climb the nose through the night. Yeah, I feel pretty good. There's a certain momentum, like when you do it fast, you know, and you do the next one fast. I feel like everything just like gets better and better. Or things get worse and worse. You know? It is 7:45. I grabbed a quick bite to eat, took a little nap while we drove to the base Del Cap. Getting ready for the nose. I got food.
You got your...
I got abu. I got a rock. Enough of a rack, but I'll do. 3 beaters. 4, 5. This gear is not technically designed for this kind of thing, but the thing is, I'm like aware of the limitations of my system. Okay, I'm going rock on. Okay. See you in the morning, kiddies.
Bye, Alex.
Balls. I'm at the nose right now. 9:30. Let's go climb the nose.
Unable to see more than a few feet up the route, and unsure of what dangers could lie ahead, Alex is in even greater danger of making a fatal mistake.
Climbing through the night, your body like wants to fall asleep, and you're just tired, and you're so lonely, and it's dark, and it's kind of sad climbing through the night. You're just living inside this little bubble of your headlamp. You can only see like 6 or 8 feet around you. Just like climbing move after move for 3,000 feet. And I'm going kind of slow, but not like terrible. It was like lonely and sad through the night, you know? I bring a really thin light rope for the nose because there's several sections where you do big swings across a blank section of rock. It's sort of a bummer, like, not being able to see in the dark. It's hard to imagine that this is considered speed climbing. Almost 2,000 feet up the nose, you get to the Great Roof, and it's one of the more technical parts of the route. It's just like really thin, traversing underneath the roof. And there's normally a lot of fixed gear, but the fixed nuts are all hanging half out, and they're being pulled straight down, and it looks like it's all just gonna fall out. And it's also always running water, and there's like slime coming out of it. So, I mean, it's a pretty intimidating position.
Yeah.
As I was finishing the Great Roof, a base jumper flew by behind us, and I just about peed myself. You know, at least I'm making steady upward progress. I feel relatively safe in a way, you know. Whereas, I'm about to just bust into free climbing there. It's about to get real unsafe. So when you get to the end of the Great Roof, you gain this really cool flake system that's called the pancake flake. You basically make that transition from daisy soling, rope soling, age shenanigans, to just putting it all away and then being like, and now I'm free climbing again. The last time I sold the nose was during the day. And it was this amazing feeling to just put my rope away and just start free soling at 2,000 feet off the ground. The exposure on the pancake flake is unreal. It's the most heroic position you could ever be in. And so doing it through the night's like even more hardcore.
I'm gonna fall over. How's that feel, 2 big walls?
I'm tired now. What's the time? 3:30? Huh. Not exactly speed style, but that was exactly 6 hours.
When I got to the top of the nose, I was surprisingly tired. And honestly, the nose took me more time than I expected it to.
Yeah.
I still had a big descent in front of me, and then another huge approach, and then another big wall.
How's it feel to be hiking up to a 3rd big wall, Alex?
I'm kind of bummed on it. I'm not really looking forward to climbing this one.
I just knew that it was going to be totally heinous. You have to hike up what they call the death slabs, which is this super steep trudge up to the base of Half Dome.
In just 11 hours, Alex has climbed Mount Watkins and El Capitan. To complete his goal of climbing the 3 biggest faces in Yosemite in under 24 hours, an exhausted Alex must hike to Half Dome and climb an additional 2,000 feet in the time remaining.
I think I probably hit rock bottom halfway up the death slab.
We should bust the food out.
Yeah.
Probably barely functional.
There's no other time in climbing when you have to be honest with yourself as much as soloing. Like, no matter how much I want to climb something, you know, can I actually climb it? Looking up at this enormous wall, and you're like, am I really doing this?
27-year-old Alex Honnold can make rock climbing history today by climbing the Yosemite Triple, the 3 biggest rock faces in Yosemite, in under 24 hours. So far, he's conquered Mount Watkins and El Capitan.
You done?
Alex is short on sleep and exhausted, but only one 2,000-foot obstacle stands in his way: Half Dome.
I was like really kind of struggling to get my groove. Like, I was just really hungry and weak feeling, just like tired. And the hike up there felt brutal. And then I rested for a while at the base. The sitting around reflecting, like, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? You know, is this something I can do? Like, that's the really scary stuff.
Oh. No, I feel crushed.
Normally, when I'm soloing, I have almost like a mental armor. You could say I'm in the zone. When I have something that's, let's say, protecting my head from thinking too much. And so to have one chink in the mental armor is sort of a big failure, because, you know, all it takes is one little mistake, and that's the end of your soloing. That's the end of you. I sat at the base of the route for probably 20 or 30 minutes just trying to get excited to start. And once I started, I just trudged up the bottom, just dragging, you know, just like placing a foot. I just kept moving at that slow pace, grinding my way up the route and just getting it done. It turned out being more of a big deal for me, I think, than I expected. It was like really kind of struggling to get my groove. Yeah, I think about falling. I do envision what it would be like to fall from whatever points on the route. You know, like a 1,500-foot fall to the ground. Yeah, I think about that, and I think about how hideous that would be. I can understand that the more I solo, I guess the more chance I'm taking in some ways. But I consider it to be like a very, very small chance. Towards the top of the route, I kind of moved into this autopilot mode. I didn't think about things hurting anymore. I found my rhythm. I started climbing well. I started climbing smoothly and started moving a little faster, a little more efficiently. And then once I found that I could rock climb, I was like, oh, I'm totally doing it. I feel okay. And then I finished it out, you know, feeling good about myself. And even though I'm super fatigued and it's the end of a really long day, I just felt good about my climbing. That's like a big part of why I even do big link ups like that, to push my own limits.
He's coming up right below us.
To have those moments of feeling like a good rock climber, you know?
God, it's tight.
How far from the top is it?
He's about 30 feet.
That's so sick.
Oh my god.
That's so sick. Way to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
Nice job.
Yay.
Oh, I'm pooped. I was pretty psyched to see people up on top of Half Dome. You know, I mean, it's always good to see people after spending 24 hours, like, climbing by yourself. I mean, it's good to see friends at the end.
This turned out being harder than I expected.
What time is it? 10:55.
18 hours, dude.
That was kind of a big deal. Yeah. I think this is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. Like, the culmination of a lot of things that I've learned in climbing.
Alex, my son, take a photo with you?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I want to shake your hand. I saw you on TV. This is awesome.
These days, I think I'm just dealing with all the attention a little bit better. I think of all the people who inspired me as a kid, and I sort of realize that they're all just normal people, too. I just do my normal life, and if people choose to be inspired by the things I'm doing, then, you know, then I'm glad that they're getting something out of it.
Alex completed his mission in 18 hours and 50 minutes, over 5 hours faster than his goal.